let's talk about items. What items you should roll? What are you looking for? Because I've seen a lot of people being a bit confused maybe, or not secure every time they have an item and they are like, should I roll this item? Should I just throw him away? What? You know? So let's look at the items. In my opinion, since now the early game it's easy, with easy I mean they give you a lot of items, I don't think you should level up at this point blue gear and white gear. Like 3 years ago, you kind of needed, just because you were looking only for the main stat. Now you get so much help from the game from the start that I don't think you actually need. So most of the time you're gonna look only at red gear, legendary one, and purple one, like this one. Yeah, fair, yes. After that, the most important thing is always to have in mind what kind of unit you are looking for. Like, it is gonna be a DPS, it is gonna be a tank, is it gonna be a bruiser? And it's decent if you are early game to try to look at the items that can work on more units at the same time. You don't want to build to upgrade some items that are specific for one unit, because you're gonna have just a few units and not that much gear, and maybe you're gonna have to switch the gear between your units. So you're gonna try to make some items that work overall and on everyone. For DPS, most of the time, if you're gonna look main stat, attack percentage, if it's a ring. After that, you're gonna look at crit damage, crit chance, and speed, or flat attack, but one of those. I'm trying to find a ring that works. One of those that I'm trying to and the moment I said that, I don't manage to find one that it's actually decent. Crit chance, crit damage. But yeah, most of the time for rings, I'm gonna try to go on all of them, from the most importance to the other ones. Is for a DPS, most of the time I'm gonna try to find something that has exactly this, like attack percentage, crit chance, crit hit damage, and speed or flat attack or something. You want the substas to be perfect, because the first 3 rolls are gonna be in one of those. After that, you're gonna get an extra stat at plus 12. Most of the time you don't care that much about that one. It's almost a wasted roll, and you hope for the last roll, the 15 one, to be again in one of the 3 stats. Another thing, if it's speed on all the items, if you want to go for speed, roll the first time on it. If it goes in speed and it's a decent roll, because you can get between 1 and 4, roll again. If it doesn't, just stop, don't continue. You want all the rolls to go in speed, the first 3 rolls. Depends like on what point of the game you are. If you have some insane gear, of course you want everything to go in speed, like high roll. If not, maybe you can close an eye on one of the rolls. With legendary gear, of course you're gonna look at the main stat, and after that, again, the same ones more or less, like even here, crit chance, crit damage, speed. Speed is gonna help always. You don't care if it's a DPS, if it's tank, if it's speed, is always gonna help. Always. Almost. Maybe you can be like, yeah, there is, that unit that doesn't need because A, B, and C. Yeah, maybe, but most of the time it's gonna help. For boost, to be honest, even if it's a DPS, almost always you're gonna look for speed. Because if you get more turns, you're gonna do more DPS. That's kind of the thing with this kind of games. Speed is so important that it's actually better than got flat attack most of the time. So you try to get like speed with attack percentage, crit chance, crit damage. That's the idea overall for DPSs. And for healers or tanks, speed, HP, defense, effect resistance, or effectiveness, depends on if they have some skills that do debuffs. Helps a lot. But again, if they're purple, try always just to go with the ones that have the right 3 substats right away. If not, don't waste your materials. Maybe if you're at the beginning and you have don't have that much gear, you can look only if it has 2 out of 3 the ones you want, but pay attention to the rolls. If the first roll doesn't go in the one you want, just try to find just wait for the other item, for the next one. For necklaces, I think this one is somehow the most interesting one, because there is a debate for DPS between using crit damage or crit chance. Apparently if you use crit chance main stat, no one is using it, almost no one, but apparently if you use crit chance, it's easier to get the maximum crit chance like this and get crit damage from the other items. But most of the people in reality just do crit damage and try to get on all the other items crit chance. But you could, in theory, just take crit chance from the necklace, and after that try to get items without crit chance, just crit damage, attack, and other stats. But again, almost no one does that. Most of the people just go with crit damage, and because you're gonna get the crit chance anyway. There are imprints that give you crit chance. Some people have it in their skills. It's easier to get crit chance than crit damage most of the time. I think that's why. It's a bit easier to get the crit chance from other places. And again, for DPS you look for things that do damage. So crit chance, attack percentage, substats. And after that depends on the unit, maybe some effectiveness, if he puts some debuffs, speed. Or maybe you want him to be a bit more tanky, so a bit of some HP, some defense. Every time when you're gonna roll an item, try to not forget that it's not only about rolling on the right stat, it's even about getting a high roll, because every time you can get between a number and a number, like speed can go between 1 and 4. Apparently it can go 5, but it's so rare that it's just between 1 and 4. And yeah, I'm gonna have in the description, I'm gonna put a link to like a spreadsheet where it tells you like on all the stats what's the minimum roll and the maximum. In that way it's easier for you guys to see. Like, let's say you have an item that has speed, 4 speed, right? And you roll into it and you're gonna be like, okay, I rolled 2. What does it mean? It's okay, it's not? Probably not. But at least it's still speed, so you can try again. At least it rolled in the stat you wanted. For the chest, if it's a DPS, just go with crit chance and crit damage. You can't get attack percentage on the chest. It's only crit chance, crit damage for DPS. For healers, tanks, you can get HP, defense, effectiveness, the same thing, speed. Speed is always decent. You can get it on all the items. Helm, DPS again, you look for crit chance, attack, crit damage. Like this one. For healers and tanks, more or less the same. They kind of use most of the time the same items. The bruiser are a bit different because you look at items that have HP and crit chance, crit damage most of the time, or things like that. But already, even if you think about bruiser, you are gonna go too much into specifics if you are new. Just try to go like basic DPS items or healer tank at the beginning. I think it's the most important ones. And after that, after you have enough gear for a couple of units to change between them and whatnot, after that you can try to look at the unit itself, like at the skills and everything, and you can be like, okay, what do I need for this unit? Like Montmorency, you can be like, okay, she needs effectiveness, she needs effect resistance. So we're gonna go try to roll and put some items that have a lot of effect resistance. But you know, it's specific because that gear is gonna be good for her, and for most of the other units is gonna be meh. That's why I'm saying it's better at the beginning to have gear that works on a lot of units. But yeah, on helm, most of the time it's gonna be the helm and the chest. If you don't have the materials to level up all the gear, it should be the last one you level, the helm, because the main stat is HP, and the chest because the main stat is defense if it's a DPS. If it's a tank, you should level first the helmet and the chest, they're decent. But if it's a DPS, just try to level the weapon because main stat is attack. For the weapon you want attack, crit chance, crit damage. Basically that's what you want every time on DPS. And the other stats of course, again, that's when it's an extra most of the time. It can be range between speed, effect resistance, for DPS not that much, effectiveness, and if not, some defensive stats, because in RTA it's decent to be a bit tanky, even for a DPS. Most of the DPS that are used in RTA, they are bruisery or if not bruisery, at least they have some skill that give them survivability in a way or another. Like Rylet, you know, missing on him, you have a chance to miss, that's why they use him. It's easy for him to survive a couple of hits. But yeah, I think that's how it should work most of the time. Again, I think it's easier of course for these ones because all the rolls, if you have the right substats, you can technically go get all the rolls in the same stats, right? The ones that you have, because you have all the stats from the beginning. In the purple one, at 12 you're gonna get an extra stat, which most of the time is gonna be like a roll that you don't care that much about. You care mostly for the first three, at 3, 6 and 9 to get the writing on the item. If you get low rolls or you don't get the thing you wanted, stop. Don't roll everything plus 15 to be like, maybe, you know, in the next stat it's gonna be perfect. Yeah, but if the first 3 went in low rolls and not what you wanted, stop. You know, respect your resources, respect your account. Don't waste materials for nothing. With speed, the way I'm working, because speed, in my opinion, it's a thing that a lot of people roll. If it's purple and it has for speed, most of the time I don't even care about the other stats. I still try to roll it at least once. If it goes against speed, like 4 speed, I'm gonna try again until 9, like every time the speed, just because it's really important to have speed. But if it's purple, I actually try twice. Like let's say I have 3 speed on this one, I try once. If I don't get speed, I try again, just because you don't have the because for the purple ones at 12 you're not gonna go into speed, it's gonna go into something else. But in the legendary one you can still get the speed at 12, right? So you should try to roll twice to get it at least to +6, to see if you manage to roll in speed, if you go for that. That's basically the idea. For DPS, crit chance, crit damage, attack, percentage, most of the time percent. Even flat on some units is decent. even flat, but most of the units prefer percentages. For tanks, healers, defense, HP, effect resistance or effectiveness depend on the and speed. Speed, it's always decent. And to be honest, on almost all my units, I go with speed. There are a couple of where I use attack, like Karen, apparent, but Karen I don't use him. To be honest, Bellona, like Chermia, that's a good example. I use attack. I don't manage to find her now. I use attack percentage main stat on boots just because I use her with lats that give her combat readiness. So she's one of those that she needs 0 speed, but most of the time it is decent to have speed. If you don't use someone that gives combat readiness or something, you want a bit of speed. And yeah, if you guys have like other questions about how to reroll and what gear to roll and things like that, let me know in the comments below. I'm gonna answer everyone if you guys have any question. And yeah, I think some people have this fear of rolling the gear, which I can understand it. And I've seen a lot of people having this hoarder in them, that they just start piling up all the gear. They don't know like which one they should, you know, throw away. If you see that the stats are all over the place, like mix between defensive and offensive, like HP, attack percentage and effectiveness, right, on a purple one, because those are the 3 stats, and the attack is flat, the HP is flat. If it's flat everything, most of the time you're just gonna throw it away. You can throw it away. Same if you can, it's gonna be, you're not gonna have a unit that wants that, right? And if they're gonna be a unit, it's just one, so you probably don't care that much. That's why I'm saying you have to pay attention a bit, and every time just try maybe once. If you are like, maybe it has only 2 stats out of 3, even the purple one, it's like attack and crit damage, you're missing the crit chance, but it's speed or even maybe HP, you can still try to upgrade it once or twice, just to see if it goes in the right one, the one you want, and a decent roll. It has to be high enough. If not, stop. You have to learn to stop, you know. If you are feeling inside that it's not working, just stop. Save your materials. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. It was decent, chat. It was acceptable. Did you guys learn something new?